Hello, Sir Will. I'm EricPhil Estrada, and I will be evaluating your target social mobilization program called SAP Corporate Social Responsibility. So, for the references of this evaluation, first the website of SAP, then the link of the evaluation framework that I use in this evaluation. So, as an overview, the evaluation framework that I'm using has consists of four evaluation areas. So, namely, planning and design, implementation and process, outcome and impact, and sustainability and continuity. Then each area has a weighted average, which is these are derived from the percentage of the component ratings based on a 5-point Likert scale. Then it is multiplied by the assigned weight. Then we will compute the overall effectiveness score. This is the sum of the weighted average of each areas. The result will range from 0 to 100 with interpretations ranging from ineffective program up to a highly effective program. So as shown in the slide is this is an example of a rubric that I use in evaluating all the four areas. So each area has components, which is located in the leftmost column. Then each component has an indicator, which is in the middle column. Then it will be rated in a 5-point Likert scale. I use the Likert scale across the evaluation framework. So now let's proceed to the evaluation proper. So for area 1, which is planning and design, in the first component, situation analysis and needs assessment, I scored SAP 4/5. So for the justification, SAP's environmental scanning is systematic and multi-sectoral, using a double materiality assessment aligned with EU sustainability standards, public evidence of audience-centered formative research methods such as CAP studies or focus group discussions specific to local program design is however limited. So that's the reason it is not perfect. 4/5. Then for the stakeholder and audience classification, I also scored 4/5. SAP applies a clear three-tiered audience classification from youth and underserved communities as primary participants to EU policymakers and procurement bodies as tertiary. The segmentation is broadly sound, though secondary and tertiary groups are sometimes treated as a single coalition in program reporting. Then for component number 3, which is the SMART objectives formulations, I rated 3/5. Some SAP CSR objectives meet the SMART criteria, such as the educate to employ target of 25 place youth per pilot country, but many published goals remain broadly aspirational without the specificity. It's not very specific. Time-bound conditions and measurable baselines that the ABCD framework requires. Then for the fourth component, which is the social marketing mix, the 4Ps plus, I rated 4/5. SAP's social marketing mix is very comprehensive across the core 4Ps and key extended Ps with strong partnership and policy dimensions, anchored in formal global engagements. The main gap is in presentation. Program packaging for local cultural context does not appear to be systematically adapted. Then for the last component, message development and pre-testing. So I rated 3/5. SAP's communications are professionally produced and thematically consistent, but there is no public evidence of ACAS pre-testing, which is testing for attractiveness, comprehensibility, acceptability, and self-involvement with primary beneficiary audiences before deployment. So maybe there's only lack of documentation That's why I rated only 3 over 5. So for this area, SAP garnered 18 over 25. Then multiplied by 100 times the weighted average, which is 20%. The overscore for SAP is 14.4. Now for area 2, implementation and process. For the first component, advocacy and policy engagement, I rated SAP 4 over 5. SAP's advocacy is active and produces concrete policy outputs, most notably the people and plain first verification standard that create enabling conditions for social enterprises globally. Its influence at the local government level, where most program beneficiaries reside, is less clearly documented. Then for IEC and media strategy, I rated 4 over 5. SAP deploys all 5 communication approaches across a well-designed media mix spanning digital publications, live events, and interpersonal volunteering. The scheduling follows a continuity pattern appropriate for the program's ongoing nature, though reach and frequency targets for primary audiences are not publicly reported. So that's why it's 4. Then for the third component, the community organizing and networking, I rated a perfect score of 5. SAP's community organizing and networking is the program's standout strength, a comprehensive multi-sectoral coalition spanning 140 countries with formal synchronized partnerships. The embedding of social enterprise verification into SAP business network infrastructure represents exactly the coordinated alliance architecture the framework's high score requires. Then for the capability building, I also rated a perfect score of 5. Capability building addresses both implementers and beneficiaries simultaneously. Youth gain digital and employment skills while employees develop cross-cultured competencies through pro bono programs. The documented dual impact, which is the 98% of volunteers acquiring new skills alongside measurable community gains, meets the textbook's high standard. So for number 5, the last component, this is component integration and participation. I rated 4 over 5. The 6 social mobilization component strategies are present and mutually reinforcing. Initiatives like the social sabbatical simultaneously build capacity, deliver IEC, and strengthen alliances. One point is withheld because meaningful beneficiary participation in program planning and governance decisions is not clearly evidenced. So for this area, SAP scored 22 over 25. Then multiplied by its weight, it has an overall score of 26.4. Now for area 3, the outcome and impact. For the first component, knowledge and attitude change. This is the SBC stages 1 to 2. So I rated 4 out of 5. Knowledge gained and attitude change are documented across both beneficiary and volunteer populations, with 2.8 million young people reach and clear attitudinal shifts among employees. The score is limited by the absence of baseline to endline CAP survey data for primary community beneficiaries, which the SBC model requires. Then for the second component, intention and behavior adoption, this is the SBC stages 3 to 4. I rated 4 to 5. Behavior adoption is evidence in employment outcomes for trained youth and procurement practice changes among supported social enterprises. Comprehensive SBC Stage 4 assessment is, however, limited because adoption rates among primary community beneficiaries are not systematically reported across the program strands. So that's the reason for the 4 over 5. Then for the third component, the advocacy and goal attainment. This is the SBC Stage 5 plus SMART objectives. So I rated 4 out of 5. SAP's programs produce SBC Stage 5 advocacy with volunteers and supported enterprises actively promoting social equity in their networks. However, most published impact figures remain too aggregated to evaluate definitively against pre-stated SMART objectives. Now for the fourth component, which is the communication effectiveness, the 7Cs. So I rated SAP 4 out of 5. SAP's communications demonstrates 6 of the 7Cs effectively, from attention, commanding narratives, to consistent branding across years. The primary gap is the call for action. CSR publications are rich in storytelling but rarely direct primary beneficiaries toward a concrete, immediate next step. Then for the last component, empowerment during program period, I rated 4 out of 5. Empowerment during the program period is visible in SECA and social entrepreneurs co-presenting at global forums and independently as accessing SAP's business network. Full marks are withheld because beneficiary co-leadership in program design decisions, not just implementation activities, it is not uniformly documented. So for this area, outcome and impact, the SAP scored 20 over 25, multiplied by its weight 40%. So SAP has an overall score of 32. Then for the last area, sustainability and continuity. For the first component, institutionalization and resources. So I scored a perfect score, 5. SAP CSR is fully institutionalized as a core corporate function backed by a dedicated global team, sustained annual funding, and EU regulatory compliance frameworks. The embedding of social enterprise support into SAP's commercial platform creates structural sustainability independent of any single budget cycle. Then for the second component, community ownership and adaptive capacity. This is the post-intervention. I scored 3 out of 5. This is the program's most significant limitation. While social enterprises gain market visibility, their sustained operation depends on SAP's platform and verification infrastructure, limiting the program's claim to autonomous post-intervention community ownership, as what the textbooks, the reference that I use, sustainability standard requires. Then for the last component, the long-term behavior retention, it scored 4 out of 5. SAP's decade-long track record and year-on-year growth in volunteer engagement and social enterprise participation suggests strong behavioral retention among employee and partner populations. Formal post-program follow-up data on primary community beneficiaries as the framework's longitudinal evaluation desire requires is not publicly documented or available. So for this area, SAP garnered 12 over 15. When multiplied by its weight, the overall score is 8. Now for the result for the overall program effectiveness. So this is, as discussed earlier, this is the sum of the weighted average of each areas. SAP Corporate Social Responsibility scores 80.8 out of 100, which means this is an effective program. So that would be all for this evaluation. Thank you and good day.